When has a gut feeling saved your life? Serious. Attention. Serious. Tag notice. Jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted. https://www.reddit.com/r/askreddit/wiki/index #wiki rule 6-. In any comment, parent or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an OMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit /message/compose/ 2=/r/askreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Lump in my right breast. 43 years old. Clean mammogram 5 months earlier. I just knew. 4 different doctors told me it was nothing and to come back in a year. I did not and found a 5th. Yeah, I had to argue my way into being diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of breast cancer. On the bright side, Thursday was my 5 years all clear date. I was like 8 or 9 when my parents took me and my younger brother to stay the night at my paternal grandparents' house because they were in the middle of divorcing. They lived in a farmhouse that was connected to a barn, with machinery, gasoline tanks, and hay on the ground floor and furnished rooms on the floor above that, and the room we were supposed to stay in was in that barn. As soon as we went into the guest room, I was overwhelmed by panic and felt really dizzy. I turned around and just said that we will not sleep in that room and we spent the night on the couch in the living room instead. Later that night, a gas leak in the barn ignited and almost the entire barn including the guest rooms on its top floor exploded. Maybe I had that weird feeling because the gas had leaked into the room already, but no one else felt anything and I'm sure I would be dead if I hadn't noticed it. Told this one before but I'll tell it again. I was at a pub party being held for my boyfriend's father, but I had a headache that wasn't going away. I had been drinking, but I wasn't drunk. I was just feeling like crap. So I made my excuses and left to walk home alone as I didn't want to ruin his night with his dad. It was a 10-minute walk, if that, from the pub to our house, and it wasn't properly dark yet. I walked down the street and passed a man sitting on a wall drinking a beer. A minute after I passed, I heard the bottle smash and then footsteps a little while back. Nothing unusual. It was a main road and there was another pub further along, but something in my gut was screaming something was wrong. So I hurriedly walked to the pub and stopped outside to ask the smokers for a light and a chat as I smoked. I watched him pass by me, and then stare at me from across the street for an uncomfortable amount of time. With my gut screaming at me, I asked a bouncer working the doors if he could order me a taxi. A few weeks later, while in the town center, I saw a mugshot of the same dude wanted for rape. When I was around 18, I was on a back road with some friends and a girl I didn't know was driving really fast. Now, I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, and I have always enjoyed a calculated risk in the name of a good time. But on this occasion I told her to either slow the fuck down or let me out. I literally had to start screaming at her before she listened and slowed down. A week later she crashed on that same stretch of road at 90 mph, killing her, and the 3 passengers of her car. I'm a bouncer. Came across a shady individual who had a gun on his person. Asked him to leave the weapon outside in his vehicle. Made a huge stink about it, but left it in his car. For some reason, I still felt like it wasn't enough. So I watched him closely all night. He got trashed and then towards closing he decided to get in an argument with some Australian guys. They were all talking about taking the fight outside. One Australian guy already had his shirt off. I asked them to at least take it outside, but I followed closely. Once outside, the guy bent over to tie his shoe and I realized he had an ankle holster for a second weapon. As he was pulling the gun out, I rushed him and we fought over the gun. The gun went off and hit a lady in her leg. Finally wrestled the gun out and put him in cuffs with the help of other security. True, a lady got hit that night, but I have a feeling if I hadn't been watching the guy closer, somebody in the Australian group would have died. Weirdest part about the story is the lady who got hit in the leg didn't stick around for the police. She ran off after getting hit. Might have had a warrant or something, but it didn't seem like a life-threatening shot. Drunk people are weird. Don't know if gut feeling or lucky coincidence. Decided I should empty the bin on my way to uni, which added maybe 10 seconds to my journey as the skip was 10 from my front door. Began my walk to uni and roughly 10 seconds of walking in front of me some idiot from the 3rd floor flat threw a load of glass out his window, smashing all over the path. There was a guy in college who was, really, into me, and he seemed fine on the surface, very sweet, always helpful and wanting to do things for me, but my gut said this guy was bad news. Well, later he went to prison for beating up his pregnant girlfriend, and this killing his child. I think I was 10 or 11, and I was reorganizing my room, moving books and stuff around. I had been working on it all day, and during the process I moved a bookshelf on top of a dresser to give me more space and loaded it up with 2 encyclopedia sets and a bunch of other books. I ended up moving my bed parallel to the dresser and passed out from working on my room all day. I woke up a little while after 4 and was contemplating getting a glass of water and moving my bed because it didn't look safe under the bookshelf. I finally got out of my bed and walked towards the door. Maybe 2 to 3 steps and boom, 1994 Northridge earthquake hit. The bookshelf instantly fell on my bed. I don't know if it would have killed me, but it would have really smashed me up. Went to go catch the bus, saw the bus about to pull out from the stop, and I could have made it if I ran. Something told me not to catch it and just wait for the next one, so I did. Caught the next bus half an hour later. Now, I usually sit at the back of the bus on the driver's side, so that's where I sat. A little way into the journey, traffic was slowing, and we got to the cause of it. A lorry had crashed into the bus I had missed, right into the back on the driver's side. Had I caught that bus, I wouldn't be here. Still gives me chills after 6 years. I was staying at a friend's house out in the country. He was asleep in another room. I was dozing off with his gigantic pit bull Isabel, sweet girl. In the middle of the night I am awoken by sounds outside, like scrabbling. Izzy leaps up too, looks at me, then the back door, and growls. My friend at the time had a young daughter, 4 or 5, so I immediately think of her. I grab the nearest weapon, which is a fire poker, and go to open the door as Izzy is beside me, seemingly ready for a fight. But it didn't feel right. I instead bar the door best I can and creep to a window looking out. Outside is a gigantic bear, so big it could easily rip my head off, and it has a few cubs in tow. I watch as it ambles off. I am pretty sure that if I had charged out of that door as I originally intended, me and Izzy would not be here today. I was taking my mom to a follow-up appointment from back surgery the month before. The freeway was closed due to a car accident, and Life Flight was called to transport the people injured in the accident. The highway patrol was funneling everyone off of the freeway to the right side exit. I had the strongest feeling we needed to move to the left farthest lane, so I did. No more than a minute after I moved over, a garbage truck came barreling down the freeway and crashed into the car that was in front of us in the other lane so fast that it lifted the front end of the truck and it landed on top of the car. We were in a tiny sports car that would have crumpled like a tin can under the weight of the garbage truck, and definitely would have killed my mom and me in a second. Edited for clarity. The sports car was a 1999 Mercury Cougar M510 Swede /Spaniard mix. It was tiny for me. Ha ha ha. I was asleep one night and woke up really having to poop. While I was pooping, an earthquake hit and my dresser fell onto my bed where I would have been sleeping. Don't know if I would have died necessarily, but that gut feeling definitely saved me. My mum knew something was wrong with me when I was younger. DRS didn't want to see me for another 2 weeks. Mum went into a blind rage over the phone, telling them that she was taking me to get checked whether they liked it or not. We got to the GP. He puts a stethoscope on my back and smells my breath. Then says we need to get him to hospital now. Turns out I have type 1 diabetes, and if it waited another day I would have died. Edit. The breath part is due to the buildup of ketones in the blood, as I was in the severe stages of diabetic ketoacidosis. Edit 2. It smelled like apples. I almost killed this guy. https://www.insorted.com/caught on video-cam footage of the man running on Highway 403 in Mississauga. Because he walked out onto the highway, I slowed down because I saw brake lights when there should have been steady flow traffic. I barely had time to hit my brakes and was maybe 8 feet away from him. I rolled down my window and asked him WTF is wrong with him, minus he just kept walking, got run over literally minutes after. I can still see his face, his haircut, the clothes he was wearing. Few years ago I was at a bar with a couple of friends. All was good. We were drinking and having fun. All of a sudden, we heard this discussion taking place just a couple of tables from us. Two guys decided to have a shouting/threat match. I stopped everything to pay attention to them. My friends were making fun of me, saying I was gossipy. One of the guys in the discussion got up and left. Immediately after he left, I told my friends we had to go. Now, let's go now. They didn't get why I was like that, but I'm their friends since forever. They reluctantly agreed. We went to a different bar in a different neighborhood, but I couldn't take my mind off of those two guys. The next day, the news were talking about a bar fight. Apparently the guy who got up went home, grabbed a gun and came back for a drive-by. Killed 4 people in the process. My grandpa taught me to never ignore my gut, and I couldn't be happier to have listened. Edit. A few words. Edit 2. A few people have approached me asking if I already had published this story before. I honestly don't remember if I did. If I did, I'm sorry. Didn't want to repost an old story. Subscribe, like and comment if you hate outros. Begging you to subscribe, like and comment.